Welcome to the Nordic Mythology podcast. I'm Daniel Farrand of the company Horns of Odin. As always, before we jump into the show, I'm going to plug our Patreon. I know I say it every single week, but it's how we keep the lights on and it's how we keep making the show week in, week out. So if you can, pop over to Patreon/Nordic Mythology podcast. Starts from £3 a month. You get the entire back catalogue. So at the minute, only the latest 20 episodes are free. The rest is behind a paywall. So yeah, it's well worth it. Like I say, it's £3 a month. You get 260 plus episodes at this point with incredible guests that we've had on over the years. And then you also get the Viking Smut episodes that myself, Claire and Mags do, where we look at Viking amateur erotica, and they tend to be a lot of fun. They're just really lighthearted. And then just a 5-star rating, positive review wherever you get your podcasts. Other than that, let's jump into today's show. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mags, my lovely co-host and in-house archaeologist, Mags Havgar.
Hello, hello, hello.
And then a gentleman who, I guess at this point, really needs no introduction. You've been on here.
Yes, I do.
Many a time at this point, but that voice belongs to, I'm going to use your anglicized name, not the one that you gave me, Jósúa Rood, who is the vocalist for the Icelandic black metal band Nexion and an expert in Old Norse religions, and Gothi, the Nordic ritual specialist in Norway. Originally from upstate New York, he moved to Iceland in 2012 to complete an MA and PhD in Old Norse religion. During this time, he helped found the Icelandic black metal band Nexion, and they released their first album, Seven Oracles, in 2019. That same year, he moved to Norway and has continued as the vocalist and driving force for the band. Now, Nexion have released their second album, Sundrung, I hope I pronounced that somewhat correctly, which has won extreme praise for its unique use of Nordic culture and extreme sound. Josh, welcome back. I don't know how many times you've been on this podcast at this point. A good few.
I don't know, 4, 5,
maybe something like that. It's a good few at this point. But yeah, welcome again.
Thank you for having me, talking about something not specifically Old Norse related this time. Yeah,
I get it's not, but also when I read over the lyrics, there was still a lot that I learned from there that I've not heard in 280 episodes of this podcast. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. That's actually taught me something. So it's definitely linked.
Oh, that's horrible. I can't. So even when I try to make just ferocious artistry, I'm accidentally being a nerd.
I know how you feel, man.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just gonna have a good time, like read a book or make something. It's like, wait, starting to feel familiar.
Mm-hmm.
My black metal
Did I bring my job into this?
No, my black metal album is a lecture.
Oh no!
But well,
can't stop disseminating.
You know, so
I mean, it's definitely deep and meaningful. There's a lot that goes into it, and I can't wait till we kind of dig really deep into the album, because it has a strong message. It's almost, I guess, I don't know. Reading through it almost felt like a type of protest in a way.
Yeah, I was asked. Jonathan Seltzer, he's a journalist who writes about metal, and he did our intro that's on our website, and he had asked me if this was an activist album or a protest, and it really isn't, though. It isn't. It's a reflection of it really is an attempt to sort of reflect quite a bit and say a lot about the human experience, but maybe the sense of protest and anger in it is because it is looking at very angry things that make me and the band very angry, and things that sort of the source of so much of our misanthropy. Mm-hmm. And I think because it's not it's a lot of the message is derived from things I truly feel and I'm truly angry or passionate about. It has that sense. But there's no activism in it. It's just absolutely misanthropic.
You can tell it has. I mean, well, you even say in the description it has ties to the modern day and how maybe we as a species treat the planet, but also probably the feeling that I think most people have at the minute, particularly in the Western world, when they look on social media and everything is very nihilistic at the minute.
Mm,
Everything feels daily as though it's getting worse and slightly
mm,
more
mm,
towards kind of a destruction
mm,
or a
mm,
Ragnarok-esque
mm, mm,
event.
mm. Yeah, I mean that was so. I don't remember where the idea for the album, the theme started, and but um, eventually it became this desire to sort of portray, um, like mythically portray the very real possibility that we live in an era of potential absolute calamity. I mean, we do live in an era of mass extinction, um, and we potentially, could live in an era where we're just destroying ourselves, ripping ourselves apart, and it's our own fault. We did it to ourselves,
Mhm.
um, and that's something that makes me angry. It's something that makes me sad. It's a source of a lot of my and I think human, as you said, you go on social media and it's just nihilism everywhere, just
Mhm.
anger everywhere. But one has to ask is if there's a lot of anger, but is it useful anger?
Yeah.
um I wanted to create, I sort of wanted to portray that sense of dread, that sense of what it is to be human right now. um I mean, obviously there are good things about being human right now too, but this album focuses on this aspect of the human experience, and I wanted to sort of put it in a framework that is derived from Old Norse religion, because that's what I do, and animism and traditional worldviews and stuff like that. And I wanted to sort of create something that was mythic and timeless feeling, even though it's sort of about now,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mm. So that was what, and I say me, but that's because I'm the lyric guy.
Mhm.
But it's the whole band. We're a 5-man,
Mhm.
5 angry guys.
Just mad at the world. I This is one that I think about all the time, that we oh, there's so much anger in the world and there's so much feeling of like impending doom,
Mm,
but we also probably arguably live in the best time ever to be alive in human history from a comfortability sense of most people in the West have a house or a roof over their head. They have access to food. Not everybody, but on whole, it's a very comfortable time. And I also think that being able to sit and complain online, like some people do for hours, also demonstrates a level of comfortability and privilege to be in a position where you're not having to be out grinding 10 hours a
yeah,
day to feed your family.
that's so yeah.
There is a sense of privilege to that as well, but also there is this feeling of doom. And I always wonder whether has it always been there? It's just we don't always see it, in a sense, because that's one thing social media has opened up to everybody, is this: you see everything, you see every atrocity that ever happens
Yeah,
right in front of your face as soon as it happens. Whereas, pre-internet, you didn't really have that. You kind of saw the real big global catastrophes, but the
mm,
small ones weren't fed in the same
mm,
way that they are now. And I always play with this
mm.
idea of, I wonder whether it's always been there or it really is just kind of pushing towards that single event.
I think that there are cycles of Ragnarok that are local and global, and cultures. We always like to. I don't know why. It might be because we live in an age of sort of singular narratives, but the fact is that cultures and nations and peoples have gone through absolute devastation over and over and over and over and over again. And maybe it hasn't been the entire planet, but it has. But it doesn't matter if it's the entire planet, if it's your entire nation that just got wiped out, if your people just got genocided, or if you just got utterly colonized and now you're all slaves, or there was a flood that just took out your entire local way of being. Cultures go through their own apocalypses,
Mm-hmm.
and so um
It doesn't have to be
maybe
the whole world for it to feel like the whole world.
Yeah.
exactly, and exactly. So um yeah, and so it almost doesn't matter if you're talking about an entire, you know, entire global apocalypse, or you're talking about the annihilation of a people's way of life. um it's still the same to a degree.
Mm.
um
Well, to the I guess
and,
to the people suffering, it's
yeah,
exactly the same. It's no different.
It's actually
exactly.
really interesting that you bring up that point, Josh, because I was watching a fabulous YouTube video the other day by an archaeologist who goes by the name of Fig Tree on YouTube, who was talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh
Mm,
and the kind of the possible origins of this great flood myth that we see occurring again and again, whether it's, in the biblical sense or pre-Christian, and
mm,
how apocalyptic it must have felt at the end of the very last ice age, where
mm,
such, devastating floods must have happened. And even though
mm,
they maybe didn't occur on a global scale, they must have been just absolutely just I'm struggling to even find words to describe how
yeah, yeah,
enormous that must have been to
yeah.
witness and experience.
Especially since we only now in the sort of modern world do we talk about the world as a whole. We If you take an older or traditional society, the world is their known culture group.
Yeah.
That is the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is their whole world. I mean, if we want to, you could almost point out how in Old Norse religion, I like how there's this idea that you got the world tree and there's all these different worlds inside of the tree, but that's a very I don't want, maybe not abstract, but mythological way of representing the fact that people in the Iron Age saw worlds, and that fjord or over the mountain is another world, that this forest is a world, and that island is a world, and Jotunheim is a place, and they understand that there are many worlds,
Mm-hmm.
but they're
Mm-hmm.
all on this one planet, but they don't, it's just the more you travel you come to new worlds.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think I
does it
think
really matter if
that's
another world isn't wiped out if yours is?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's probably a much more accurate way to look at it, because there's all these images, like you said, of these literal worlds or planets that are kind of linked, and there's 9 of them, and they've got the little lines
Yeah,
going through them.
yeah,
But if you put yourself in the position of somebody in the Viking Age, if you hear a story from somebody who goes to, the Middle East, and
yeah.
the different landscape and temperatures, that is certainly would
It's a
feel like
world.
a different world. It would be completely, foreign, and just you would feel like a world. It's a different kind of a complete different
Yeah.
place.
That's one of the
100%.
reasons why the quote worlds that they talk about in Old Norse religion, it's always Garður and Heimur, which is like both of them refer to landscape things. Heimur is a home, it's a place. Garður is an enclosed space. And those are the names of literal locations. So that's how they see the world.
Mhm.
I mean, it's actually a very realistic way to see the world, because
Yeah.
that is the world.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
I think that's such an interesting perspective. That's it's so cool because I think we get it can be a little bit challenging for us to remember to disregard just the very basic concepts of planet and global and world that we've been taught since before we were maybe even conscious. And remember, like, if I didn't have this like map that this teacher showed me or this atlas at home or like had all these reference guides, like how big would my world really be?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
How much of, and you know, either way is fine. It's just that we have this amazing privilege to be aware of the constraints of the physical space we embody.
Well, yeah, if you imagine if the power went off right now and this all shut down and your phone died,
if the grid went down,
yeah, how big is your world?
I mean, it's
suddenly a lot smaller.
It is, and I would immediately begin etching out my kingdom.
But you know what's also funny about that, Dan, is that like the likelihood of Josh and my worlds overlapping, considering how close we are in geographical distance, even though it would be difficult to get there without, you know, modern transportation vehicles, it would be a little bit more challenging. You know, the likelihood of our worlds overlapping is greater than with you.
Oh, we never would. If you lost,
well, don't say that.
Well, but if you lost all, you know, planes, ships, until we got back into making wooden ships again.
I know there are enough traditional boat builders in Norway that we would rectify that situation quite quickly.
Eventually. But then what would be the need?
I'd go straight to Tonsberg and get one of those ships.
I thought exactly.
If all that happened and I had the food and I had the water, what would be my need to go to Norway? Because I wouldn't be pressed to go on holiday because I'm suddenly in a different situation where holidays aren't really a necessity anymore. Survival is.
To holiday. Sorry.
Yeah, that's everywhere at the minute. But anyway, let's get to the actual album itself.
Yes. Oh my God, yes, that's why we're here. Right.
These are all themes, but these are all themes that feed into it and these kind of ideas. Let's start with the artwork for the album cover because it is horrific. It's great, but it's horrific.
Josh, are you okay with us like showing that for the YouTube crowd? Like Dan could.
I actually sent the album cover to Dan that if you wanted to use it, I mean, use it. You can use clips of our videos. You can use the image of the album cover. Completely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Amazing. Also, sorry for like the post edit, but if you hear any whimpers or whines or little barks, I can tell that Ibsen is having an extremely interesting dream at the moment. So,
bless you.
Okay.
For anyone just listening, I'm going to quickly describe the artwork. But go and just look at.
They can actually, if you're listening, you can find the artwork just by typing in Nexion Sundrung. Or Nexion new album, or you'll see it. But yes, Dan, describe it. I want to hear how you describe it.
There's a lot to it. So there you have a figure on the back of a wolf, on a black wolf, with what looks like one of those kind of figures that you find that archaeologists have found with the kind of mask or head with the eagles that commonly get represented to as Odin. That's what that looks like to me. The figure has 8 arms, is holding a sword, and a snake is next to a lovely kind of intestinal skull rack type thing, like a drying system, I guess. And you have the wolf biting corpses on the ground. I think that's covered it, and a lovely kind of blood sunset, I guess, like a kind of.
And the figure is female.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to assume.
It's female.
So.
The reason I say that is because I didn't want people to think, because you had mentioned that the mask reflects what a lot of figures sort of tie with Odinic stuff.
Yeah.
but this figure is not Odin. It's a female.
Okay.
So.
Oh, it also looks like kind of like a raven, almost kind of native-esque headdress is what it looks like to me. I don't know if that's where the inspiration comes from, but that's kind of like the raven feathers coming out gives that kind of feel.
So I guess this is where I describe it, right?
Yeah, you tell us the meaning behind it.
The cover has gotten it's been interesting. Gotten like reading what people have said about it, or what people have asked us, what is it, and people have often asked if it's Hindu because of the arms,
yeah,
or just what is it? And the funny thing is, and you know, there is this one part on the album where we have a sitar, and that's completely, what's the word when things
Coincidence?
Yeah, it's a complete coincidence. We had the sitar because we needed this interlude. We didn't need an interlude. We were coming up with an interlude with really cool drums, and we wanted some sort of really atmospheric, creepy sounding instrument to come in. And one of our members was like, "My buddy plays sitar." And we were like, "That's cool, yeah, let's use that." Nice. So and the 8 arms, but the 8 arms is a reason for that. So what it really, I don't want to, just like with our lyrics, I don't want to over analyze, because there's a lot of, with the creative process, a lot of stuff is there because it's came in the heat of the moment, or it looked nice, or, and also, of course, I did not come up, well, I had the idea for the album cover, but I didn't draw it. That was our artist, Jose, he does the artwork for a lot of bands. Hordomrife, for some reason, that's the only one that comes to mind at the moment, which is sad because he does a lot of bands. But Mefarash, yeah, but anyways, he really portrayed what I asked him to. I mean, he nailed it. So the vision in my head became the album cover, which is, you know, he's such a good artist, and he's also himself an expert in religious history. So he's an artist and a scholar of religious history. So we have really great talks about ideas. And he's very good at creating symbolism that has a mythical sense because of his own background. You see that with 7 Oracles as well. Our first album cover, he really gave it this mythical, religious kind of a feel to it. But this is inspired by the Old Norse poem Daradaljoth, which describes Valkyries, 4 Valkyries with a loom set up, and they're weaving human entrails instead of like threads. They're weaving entrails through it, and the weights of the loom are severed human heads.
Oh, how cozy!
Yeah, and
it is very metal, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yes, and they're chanting. Well, and the sky is raining blood. And they're chanting Vindum Vindum, we wind the web of war. And they're basically, I mean, Valkyries, they in the Old Norse sense, actually I will quote Jonathan Lindau. He's an Old Norse researcher who, I forgot, in some article, I don't know why this quote sticks with me, but he kind of rants about this perception that Valkyries are these beautiful women who come down and save men. They're demons of death, he says. They're destroyers. They are the beings that choose, that cause men to die, or people to die. They are what causes a warrior to fall when he should have had victory. They are what causes you to get hit in the throat with an arrow when you thought you were gonna. They're what kill you. They are the choosers of who dies, not the choosers of who gets to go to Valhalla, who die. And they're terrifying. That's why in the poetic sense, they're often portrayed riding wolves, because wolves, they are the ones that come on the battlefield and consume the dead. The wolves choose by consuming the dead. And so their mounts are wolves. And so this reflects a Valkyrie weaving that death, weaving our bloody fate. And the skies are raining blood, and the wolf is gnawing on the dead, as what happens in hell. And in fact,
The Norse mythology hell, not the
the Norse hell,
yeah.
where the wolf is gnawing the dead and the serpent is sucking the blood, and men are wading through the water and such. So it's really an apocalyptic scene of kind of of Sundrung. The album cover, or the name, means Sundrung is an Old Norse word to refer to a state where um, both social and cosmically things are just sundered and cannot be put back together.
Yeah, because
yeah.
that's what the word reminded me of, was, the English word sunder, or more specifically, we have it in Norwegian too, but we don't use it as much. But particularly the Swedish sunder,
Yep.
where
Yeah.
or sunder, of it's broken beyond repair.
Exactly. It cannot be fixed. It's
No.
socially and cosmically. Of course, the English word sunder or sundering doesn't quite capture that meaning, that cosmic
it's a bit
sense.
more
It's
just
beyond
like
repair. Broken. Yeah, I sundered the earth.
It's not. I don't think it's a very commonly used word anymore. It's not one that.
But
that
hey, Dan, I was
very
thinking,
often.
we've described
Nice
the
word.
album cover now in quite great detail, particularly for the audio listeners. But should we
So
maybe
the
show
mask
it?
Yeah, you should show it.
Yeah,
But please,
that.
Josh, go ahead.
I think it's a terrifying representation of a Valkyrie, and questions what people
should be, because Valkyries are terrifying.
I will admit, risking sounding like a bit of a wimp, I will admit that when I opened that file, Josh, and I saw the album cover for the first time, I genuinely, my first impression was that I did out loud go, "Whoa!"
That is good.
Yeah,
but that goes to the theme of the album as well, doesn't it? Because it is, like, say, I know you said that it's not a like a protest piece, but it is a powerful piece. It has meaning behind it. There's ritual in there. There is, there's a lot to it. There's magic imbued throughout.
Yeah. I mean, the opening song is a curse, and the last song sort of reflects the ending stage of a curse. So I mean, the whole album is ritualistic in its own sense. But that's how black metal is, or at least a lot of black metal. It is supposed to be a way of discussing the state of things, and sort of mythologizing it, and taking a very, what is the word, mythic position. I mean, black metal doesn't talk about you broke up with your girlfriend or how you want to go to a party. It talks about religion. It talks about the hegemony. It talks about good and evil. It talks about annihilation. It talks about these things. That's what black metal is. So that's what Nexion is.
It has that, I guess it has that kind of aggression that comes out through music.
Do you think our album is aggressive?
I know, but black metal in general, I think, it just has that feel, particularly to anybody who doesn't listen to a lot of black metal. I think it all has that kind of factor. And anybody that does listen to the album, I would say go and read the lyrics and look into the story behind it, because for me anyway, I don't know if anybody can hear the lyrics of black metal, but I don't listen to a lot of black metal, so for me, I'm not picking up on the lyrics through the audio. So it's
I feel
good
like if
to
you
see
read
that
the
after.
lyrics while you listen, then you can understand the lyrics.
Okay.
So if you're reading while you're listening, and it's not because black metal, I always tell this to people, I would like to think, well, compared to a lot of other vocalists, I enunciate fairly well.
Yeah.
but black metal is still hard to understand simply because there's so much going on. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of sound. It's not a person talking into a microphone. So I mean, I have a hard time understanding pop music, to be honest. I don't listen to pop music, but
Hmm.
a lot of music, I really have a hard time. What's that Rock the Cat Box whatever song that
Rock,
I don't even know the
Oh,
lyrics.
oh, Rock the Casbah.
Do 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 do.
Rock,
Rock the cat.
yeah,
I
rock,
don't know what
rock
they
the
say.
Casbah. Casbah. Casbah.
But point is,
By
I don't know what they say.
the Clash, isn't it? Rock the Cash. The
but
Cash
I
bar, I
mean,
think it is.
to
You
your
should cut
point,
this part
Josh.
right out.
I'm googling this now because I should know this.
But
They're
the
a
point is,
British
the
band.
point is, a lot of lyrics are hard to understand. But I don't write lyrics necessarily to be easy to understand. They are written. You can read them. I almost like the sense that it's archaic.
I
So there's that as well.
I think that's really cool because to your point, Josh, I absolutely don't think that, whether or not the lyrics are easily understood just by listening to them is purely a black metal thing at all. Like one of my favorite bands of all time, Alt J, whenever they release an album, I have this thing where I'm like, because the vocalist there, I think he on purpose makes, like, he has a distinct way of singing that, like, he makes it difficult
Yeah.
consciously.
Yeah.
So I always have this thing where I'm like, I listen to the album one time just to be like, oh, what's it? And then I'm able to pick out like words or sentences here and there, but then I have this extra joy of re-listening to it while looking at the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, that's what that part says.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do as well. I do it
Yeah.
as well. And also, I mean, being a singer or a vocalist in a band, your voice is an instrument just like the other instruments,
Sure.
and music, singing, whatever you want to, music and singing, it's first and foremost an auditory experience, and therefore quite often the words I use, I'll pick a word because it sounds good, and B, I'll pronounce a word which might not be correct but sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it works
And,
that way in the song. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and that's art. That's art.
Are you
Which is
telling me that language is malleable and flexible, Josh?
that's weird.
That's
Yeah,
Super
strange.
It's not like when
Yeah.
Eminem rhymes everything with
Strange.
orange.
Yeah.
I also make sounds that aren't words on the album.
Well, that's it. You also flip between English
Old Norse
and
and
Old Norse
English.
as well. So there's that as well. If you're trying to tune your ear into it, you're like, wait a minute, I'm really not getting it now.
No, because it's Old Norse.
Exactly. But if you the like you said, the first song is a literal curse, and this was
Yes.
the part that I kind of alluded to earlier, where I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that this was a thing from
That Utharpaspo is a runic inscription found on runestones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you
Yeah.
want to tell us a little bit about that, and also what made you want to put a curse for the first song?
Okay, well, I'm trying to remember if I've said this before. I almost feel like I'm having crazy deja vu, as if I've said this before on this podcast. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. Did we not talk about Utharpaspo? I don't know. Whatever. I'll say it again.
Maybe we
I'll
may
say
have
it.
somebody will correct me, but please do.
I'm gonna say so. in an old, maybe I said it for, it doesn't matter. In an Old Norse context, prophecies, curses, they overlap quite a lot because the future isn't fixed. There are possible futures, and in Old Norse prophecy as well as cursing, it's sort of like proclaiming, this is the path you're going down, you're going to end up in this place unless you change. So for example, Skitnismal, the Old Norse poem, Skitnir curses Gerd if she doesn't accept his offer, and it's a horrible curse. But it's all under the pretense of, you are absolutely fucking cursed unless you do what I say, and then everything that was said can be unsaid. Everything that I carved, I can uncarve. And in Utharpaspol is a runic inscription found on various rune stones in Sweden and I believe Denmark. And what it says, Utharpaspol literally means prophecy of annihilation, prophecy of destruction. The context being, and they're often accompanied with whoever touches this stone or whoever ruins this stone, Utharpaspol. So it's a curse if you do this thing wrong, or if you do this, it's all like it's a warning so much as a curse. So warning, prophecy, curse, they're all the same, or they overlap tremendously. Ragnarok is in many ways it's a prophecy, but it's not fixed. She sees ahead what will happen, but it's not fixed. And that's why, I mean, not to get into, I don't want to treat Old Norse religion as if it's one big narrative, because it's not. But Ragnarok isn't necessarily fixed, but she foresees it, and it's almost like a warning. So and there's runic inscriptions that give it creates this sense where curses, warnings, prophecies, they're all it's not like a magical black magic spell where it's like, I curse thee from now on. Every time you walk under a roof, the snow is going to fall off it and land on you. It's not that kind of a thing. It's sort of like, you're fucked if you go down this path. So, and that's what the beginning of the album is Utharpaspol. I see destruction. I see annihilation. So it is simultaneously a curse as well as a prediction. It's what I see. And also that song is from the perspective of the earth. It's not from my perspective. It's from, artistically speaking, it's the earth that's speaking. So, yeah. And I thought that was a proper way to start. So if you go to the very last words of the album, they are, that which I say I can unsay, that which I carve I can uncarve. So the whole album is a sort of curse / prophecy that
warning
technically could be avoided, but fucking won't be. So
I mean, we are racing towards something. It feels like that. Feels every day. It's getting more and more and more intense.
But if nothing more, and again, as I said, the album isn't necessarily it isn't meant to be activism. What it is a reflection of experience, and so for me, it was very cathartic to write it. And it also, I think, helped some of the guys in the band put a framework and words to their own sense of misanthropy and anger against, or maybe not anger / disappointment in us as a people. I think that's something that is shared by a lot of people. That it doesn't matter if we're going towards destruction or we're not going towards destruction. Right now, to be human and to have social media and to see it all thrown into our face all the time, and to see the things that are going on politically and the genocides and the wars, as if we never ever learn a fucking lesson, it has created a sense of misanthropy and disgust and anger and frustration and fear, to live in an age where like maybe 500 years ago, like 500 years ago, there wasn't the fear that somebody could press a button and wipe out your entire continent. But that's also not new to us. Our grandparents grew up in the Cold War. So this is a uniquely sort of human or modern experience to go through this, to have technology that is able to spread destructive ideologies so quickly. Um, what do we do with that, and how do we handle it? I don't even have the answer. It's not my. That's not really the role of Nexion. What Nexion does is creates a mythic framework to put misanthropy, to put that anger and yeah, all of that disgust and the ugliness, to frame it into something. And then if it's cathartic for somebody else to listen to, that's good. But it was cathartic for me to make.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually really, like, from, you know, the standpoint of whether or not it's activism, I also think it's a bit like not necessarily the point, because it also, like you said, it was cathartic for you to write,
Yep.
and for the whole band to create, and then
Mhm.
hopefully and possibly it's also really cathartic to many people to listen to. And I think that's also something that is super important, because it then you provide a means of actually feeling the feelings.
Yes, the
Because
anger, the
yeah,
sadness.
because I think that that's something that at least I struggle with a lot, that I intellectualize a lot of my feelings, and I have a really hard time actually feeling them, like finding an outlet for how to physically be in touch with the feelings that I am feeling. And I think that's a really healthy thing to do, and that you guys are then actually creating, a
I think that's
pathway for
why
that is
I think
long term very good for most of us, I would say.
I think that's why metalheads are not as evil as people think we are. No, well, some of us are. I'm not gonna. There's some pretty evil metal people out there that make good music, but I think that a lot of people listen to transgressive. That's one of the things about metal, is it is empowering for the listener. It is empowering, and it's empowering through destruction. It looks at things, it brings energy that society kind of says, no, you can't. Well, we're going to do it anyways. And it's empowering for those who are into it. I've always found it interesting how you'll have a person who the immediate reaction that two people will have when they listen to black metal or death metal, where one person will say, "Oh, that's so violent, that's so evil." They're like repelled by it. They feel like the music is against them, attacking them. Um, Whereas another person will listen to it and they will feel it. They channel it. It becomes them. It empowers them. For them, it's not an assault on them. It's within them, and it brings something out. And I'm not a music theory anthropologist, so I don't know why that is, but I do know that um, through this kind of energy, we do give something to ourselves and to people
my,
who are like us.
my guess is that it's an outlet for hopelessness, because there is a sense of hopelessness, certainly for me, when you look at the world and the horrible things that happen. The reality is, what can I do about it? What can I actually do? I can scream into the void all I want, but I can't really change much. And it's
No.
also a lot of the evil that happens in the world, I think, happens like slowly, progress over time. Like it's not if you have an instance of like an Adolf Hitler, where you can go, oh, it's this guy that is the figurehead, and you take that out and it kind of, you can disband it. But for the most part, the incremental change, let's say climate
Yeah, it's
change,
the frog in the
yeah,
water.
the climate change and things like that, it just slowly happens of generation building on generation of building. And so it's, who do you stop?
And a lot of this stuff that we're watching right now that is making us feel hopeless is the result of exactly that process. But I also think it's interesting that you use that example, Dan, because that's kind of what we've been taught, right? But the thing was, the party, the Nazi party that Hitler eventually became the poster child of was well on its way to becoming what it became way before he was involved. So, but I think that's like, no, but to your point, because I think that's really interesting, because we kind of been taught that, like, oh, if it wasn't for this particular guy, all of this evilness wouldn't have happened. But the fact of the matter is that maybe it wouldn't have happened exactly like that or exactly as quickly without that particular type of charisma, but it still existed before him and without him.
Well,
and it still does.
The amount of people that probably had no idea about like the fascist movement in the UK at the times, and I think probably Peaky Blinders, whether you like the show or not, had a lot of bringing that movement into the focus of modern day Brits who didn't know that Britain had a fascist movement, and somebody like Oswald Mosley, who was kind of that figurehead. And then you have these Peaky Blinders who puts it into, and people go, "Is that real?" And then they Google it, and then they check it, and then they start to learn a little bit about it. And it wasn't just an isolated instance in Germany; it was a problem across Europe.
And that's part of. That's why I said, and I want to just underscore that, like, Nexion and Sundrung is more than that. It's also, there's a lot of things going into it. But since we're on, this is one aspect that we're talking about, that this one sense, and for me, I think that a lot of people, it's that, as you said, it's an outlet for hopelessness. Nexion is a lot more than an outlet for hopelessness, but metal and music in general, and it does give that outlet for hopelessness, because we hopeless and helpless, because, like, you're one person, you're watching the entire world move in this fucking direction, you can't do anything about it except for just try to live your best life, and just try to go on until you die. And you need a way to get through the day, to the next day, to the next day, and you're going to try to do your best. And if you have a chance to do something good, maybe you will, but you need to also hold on to your sanity and just be able to make it.
You can focus on these atrocities that happen. You can speak out about them every day, but they eat away at your soul a little bit as well every time, and eventually you become. I found myself doing that. I know you're obviously, Josh, you're quite outspoken on Facebook of your.
I need to not be, and I get reminded regularly not to be, because of what you're about to say.
I think we're similar in that we both can't help ourselves in getting into these discussions and falling ourselves, just kind of, again, shouting into the void, expecting people on the other side to go, actually, good
That's
point.
A good idea.
And it never happens.
It never works. It never works. You always walk away feeling fucking worse. And then social media is fucking toxic. It's a poison. I'm telling you, it is not. Yeah. Anyways,
it could have been so great, and the people in charge of it decided to just make it about clicks.
Just money. That's all. It's money, isn't it? Now that's all it is. It's.
Is this one we've officially reached the late stage capitalism part of the conversation? No, I'm just kidding.
Nexion will not discuss politics.
No, okay, fine, all right, we'll leave it.
I mean, from that, you have the song. Is it Gandher? In which it is a destroying magic song, and you also say that it's kind of aimed at unnamed people.
Partially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an active curse, which, this is going to sound really, what's the word? It's going to make me sound really edgy and mystical, but it means there's a lot of things about it that I'm not going to talk about.
Okay.
But there's elements to it that are for the listeners as well. But it's based on a curse. Well, it's based on a few things. I mean, the idea behind it, Oganda is still a concept in Norway, but in northern Norway amongst the Sami, which is to curse by calling forth certain spirits and sending them out to attack your enemy. But Gondur is an Old Norse word, and it's sort of a remnant of an old widespread way of thinking. Jormungandr is
Okay.
the great Gondr, the great monster. One of Fenrir's names is Vaunagandr, the Gondr or the monster of Vaun, the river Vaun. I was reading, I was, I was reading some people talking about our album, and some guy was like, "I looked up Gondor. It means a staff, a magical staff." And I was like, I was just kind of chuckling because it does mean that, but it means a lot of things. Gondor,
Wait.
Gondor can mean staff.
One word can have multiple meanings?
It's fucking
What?
weird.
Crazy.
I mean, you don't need to
But
tell
in our
us
meaning,
Brits about
it
that.
means like it's a curse, and it's a cursed spirit. It's a sort of, I don't want to say destructive entity. And I was also using there's a runic inscription from Sweden. I forgot the name of. I don't know if it has. A lot of runic inscriptions don't have names. They just have the location. And it was buried with a body. And there's a lot of interpretations of what the inscription says, but it's very alliterative. And it calls on, one of the interpretations is that it's calling, it's not calling on, it's practicing magic against all of these nameless spirits, the wailing spirit, the walking spirit, the sinking spirit, the sitting spirit, the flying spirit, that it's some sort of protection against them. And in the context of Gondor, the song, we reverted it to call on those destructive entities and send them out in a direction. And
A nameless direction.
You got 20,000 people chanting it at a festival. That's
Couldn't
real
hurt.
magic.
Yeah.
That's how magic works.
It is,
So,
yeah. That's
yeah.
There's power to things though, and I think it shows that idea shows that the peoples of the past they believed everything had a spirit to it, that everything was connected in some way and could be interacted with, yeah. And that's something that we've lost for the most part.
It has been sundered. That relationship that with our local world around us has been sundered.
Do you think it's gone and can't be brought back?
It can.
Mm-hmm.
By it, I mean, yes. If we're talking about animism or animist ways of thinking and engaging with the world, I think it can be, and it is in many ways. A lot of anthropologists are observing that is happening. I'm one of them. I just finished an article. I don't know when it'll be published, but the article is looking at exactly that, how also true communities in Norway are re-engaging with the world and having experiences in the sense that is re-enchanting, or sort of turning the world into a place that can be engaged with again, as opposed, I don't want to say spirits, but like a tree is no longer just a tree. It's now something that you can engage with.
It's
It
not
has
a
a
dead
story
thing.
behind it.
It's
It's not a dead thing. It's a he, it's a she, it's a thing that you can have a story with, that you can engage with, that you can give honor to, that you can put value into, and therefore relate to. So I just finished an article kind of looking at that, and so this is a thing that is happening. It is something that we can do, and that we are doing, and that in some ways hasn't entirely gone away in a lot of senses. So, and ironically, one of the reasons why I need to be able to have this sort of violent black outlet that is Nexion is so that I can then also try to put healing energy in the world through my work as a Gothi and stuff like that in Norway, to put on ceremonies that are not about destroying people.
I think that it is something that's definitely making a bit of a comeback, because just as I think in my own lifetime, maybe it's because I'm more involved with this kind of stuff now, but also I think it is more overarching than that. That certainly when I was younger, let's say 16-year-old Dan, if you can imagine, you this idea of kind of spirits and everything, I probably would have thought was a little bit ridiculous. I think a lot of my friends would have had that idea. It would almost be synonymous with that kind of like out of touch hippie kind of mindset. That's what it would be kind of, I would say for the most part, unfortunately, laughed at and ridiculed a little bit. Whereas I think it's a lot more accepted now, and people are willing to listen and a little bit more open-minded about.
I saw somebody posted an article about how there was a ceremony, I forget where, somewhere in the world, where local spiritual leader, by local I mean like indigenous to that place, I forgot where, but spiritual leaders of that location, as well as scientists, were put on a ceremony to sort of mourn the death of a glacier.
Oh,
And this is not the first time it's happened. It's happened in a few places. And the point that I'm getting at is that this is how. So I don't actually like the word animism so much, but it's a working word that we have to use to be able to refer to stuff. But this way of thinking, this knowledge system where you see the world as a place that can be engaged with, you see a glacier not just as ice, but an entity that you can uh, create stories about and mourn its passing and such. That is something that um, is accepted by it does. It's not just some spiritual like whoop-de-woo type of thing. It is something that scientists can accept. It is something that you don't need to actually literally believe in the existence of a quote spirit. What even is a spirit? That's a whole side discussion. To be able to actually embrace. And that's sort of why this way of thinking is powerful. It's not about what you believe as far as the metaphysics of stuff. It's about the value system and what is important and what do you want to be important. I think that's why it's something that people can get behind.
yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately myself. Because there's something like exactly what you said, regardless of whether you like actually logically think that that is something that exists beyond a shadow of doubt, doesn't really matter, because
No.
even entertaining the idea, if that is
Mhm.
something that sparks you to have a more, what words am I looking for, maybe a bit more like considerate,
Empathetic.
thoughtful, empathetic, and like caring way of engaging with literally everything around you, who
Yeah,
does it hurt?
exactly,
If that's what
exactly.
makes you pick up the trash on your street because you're like, oh, what if this street has like a little spirit? I don't think it does, but imagine if it did. I'm gonna pick up the trash because I don't want the street to feel bad.
Yeah,
That was like a kind of a, a little bit of a silly example, but it's
but it's not silly because if you I mean humans, this has been, I mean, indigenous writers have written this, anthropologists have written about this, that humans learn through uh, we learn through stories. Our knowledge, we don't operate like computers. We operate through storytelling. And storytelling is also how we maintain our moral system and what's right and wrong and how we treat things. And when your stories are associated with, for example, uh, uh, this grove, you have your village has story after story about how there's a goddess in this grove, and she looks like this, and on this time of the year she appears if you do this, and your grandparents gave offerings here, and it was this beautiful ceremony, and you have a holiday every year where people kind of go out and have bonfires and celebrate this goddess and this beautiful cultural thing that is important to you, and it's associated with this grove. They're not just trees anymore, and you care about them because they have so much more tied to them, and therefore you're not going to just leave your trash in that grove, because that's just how people work. It's just how we operate. You can tell somebody all day long, don't litter because it's bad, and they will or will not listen. But as soon as you start giving them something to emotionally connect them to it,
Mm-hmm.
and they start having empathy for it in that way, that's when you start getting change. And that is how humans work. This is how we work in all things. So that's why sacred stories and stories connecting us to things and relationality with the world around us is so important, and why the breaking of it is so horrible.
Yeah.
So,
well, lovely. The
I don't know how we're talking about this. We're supposed to be talking about black metal.
But isn't that kind of like what you were getting at before, though? That black metal isn't just angry.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of things. But yeah, it's I've always different people define black metal differently. Some people say black metal is Satan, and in a sense it is, because it is the force that goes against the hegemony. It is the force that goes against the ruler, or the way things are supposed to be, or the way that we're told things are supposed to be. It's that what's the word, like, it goes against it, sort of breaks through it. It's the Loki, it's the Lucifer, it is that, in a sense. It's the goat. And that's, metal is as well. And in a sense, that's what we're doing, sort of going against the main.
Yeah, absolutely. So the image that comes with Gander, we
didn't publish that.
Well, I was going to ask, because it's the mask that's on the figure, right? That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about the album cover?
Yeah, but you have on what you sent me, I don't know, is like a close up of that kind of mask.
Yeah. That's also on our t-shirts. If you were to go to our website,
it's a great design. Yeah,
Death Mask t-shirt.
The art for this album is just chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Jose, he's a master.
So that mask, does that have any kind of ties to mythology and historical actors? Because, like I said, it reminds me of those little figures that a lot of people have said with the eagle.
It's inspired by that
kind of.
Yeah, it's derived from that, but without getting so far into it, I prefer, and if you look at the history of our artwork, we as a band, we tend to hide the faces of the figures in our artwork for a number of symbolic reasons.
Okay.
And in this case, we wanted her to be hidden behind this mask that is sort of connected to war in the old sense. And so, yeah, you see these horned figures throughout archaeology, and that's what her mask is inspired by. But Jose also kind of gave it his own really cool, just a lot of it's, like I said, not everything in art is analytical. So some of the details are just because he's a fantastic artist. So
the mask part reminds me of, it's like almost like a Japanese demon mask, which is really cool. Yeah, which has like a really cool feel to it.
There are also and I think I think that one of the reasons he gave her the face, the fangs, is I had sent him images. There's a number of them. There's a lot of old Norse sources of masks or of figures. Some of them are on the Oseberg wagon that have big fangs. They have big, like, what look like, I don't want to call them fangs, but almost like
Tusks.
tusk teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I sent that, and he wove it into his own depiction, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's really
she's
it's a really cool picture.
yeah. So
I don't want to. What are we on? We're on like an hour and a
Yeah.
quarter. Because you have the north and down, which is obviously akin to hell, and that idea.
oh,
Giant kitty.
kitty!
I know.
he came in chirping. So
What a beautiful cat.
Oh my god.
You're very beautiful. But anyways, you can keep this part in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he came in chirping, so I had to pick him up. Yeah, no, Norður Niður is it references in actually in Norwegian you could say Nurone is to go to hell. So like north and down.
Mhm.
In Icelandic, Norður Niður means to go to hell, right? Or if things have just gone to hell. And it's a description of the path to the Helvegen, the path to the underworld. But that song is really just sort of how it's just it's a nihilistic song about how everything is fucked.
Well,
It has
shit
the
has hit the
longest
fan.
the longest scream I think I've ever done in a recording is on that song. It starts, I think I screamed for like 40 seconds and
Oh
started black.
jeez.
Wow.
It was because I'm such a competitive dickhead, and I have a friend who was in a band, and she sent me a video, and she was like, I'm gonna try to out scream. I have a scream on on 7 oracles. I don't remember how long it is, but it's kind of long. And she goes, I'm gonna scream longer than you on our album. So I was like hell you are. So I just screamed for so I screamed for like 40 something seconds, almost passed out, and I will never do it live.
Oh no, the good call, I think. Holy shit, that is also just impressive lung capacity. I had to do like this this breathing test a few weeks back just to check like my airways, and I struggled like keeping the exhale going, and then I can't imagine adding like vocals to it additionally. Holy crap, I'm very impressed if you can't tell.
It was I'm never gonna do it live.
You say that, but like you said, you're
because
very
live
competitive.
No, there's a difference between being in the studio, and I home record as well now, so it's a lot. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I can like get all pumped up, do some breathing exercises, so I can really get my blood full of oxygen, take a nice deep breath, and do a take. Live, I'm headbanging, I'm yelling at the crowd, I'm exerting myself. I'm already half out of breath. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like 5 seconds.
Yeah, but in the moment, might be tempted. Okay, one of the funnest concepts is the song when Raven Steals the Sun, of a conversation between a raven and a corpse.
Yeah, I love that song. For a personal reason, it has a lot of personal meaning to me. It's one of the sadder songs too. If you really listen, I mean, there is a sadness in that song, and there's a sadness in Visions of the Seventh Fire. There's there's a sadness. Some people hear it. But no, that was a fun one. It's a discussion between what I had fun with was so it's a song that's sort of about, it's a discussion between a raven and a corpse, who represents sort of the last of us at the end when we've failed, and the raven wakes up the corpse and basically is bragging and saying, I was here in the beginning, I did all these things, I wove different traditions together, Nordic and American indigenous, actually in this one, where he brags about how he stole the light, which is a Haida myth in the Pacific Northwest. He talks about how he carved he's Odin isn't quite a raven, but he is a raven god, so the raven represents Odin. So in the sense, this is Odin, but it's also it's the trickster. It's a lot of things, and it's so it's bragging about all these things that the raven has done around the world. He plays this important creation role, and when we're gone, he also represents nature itself. And when we're gone, he will still be here. And when we're gone, the sun is still going to go. So in the end, he says, I will steal the light. I'll fly between the jaws of the wolf and I'll steal the light. Because for us, in the Norse, the idea of Ragnarok, the sun is destroyed and everything, but it's not destroyed. We're destroyed, but the raven's gonna snatch the sun and keep the things going again, and it's gonna be fine, but we're not gonna be here. So the raven is gloating and sort of bragging about how we fucked up and he's still around.
Well, there is that cycle to everything, isn't there? Everything, it's very doom now, but whatever happens in the next 10 years, I'm sure there'll be this cycle of rebirth that comes after, just in the same way that a lot of the things I wore when I was 16 are starting to come back in fashion again now. And I'm like, hang on a minute.
I'm going to tell you, I was just in Scotland, and I don't know if this observation goes for the whole UK, but let me tell you, there's some questionable fashion in Scotland. They're going back, man. They're wearing like Beavis and Butthead hairstyles and like dressing like it's the 80s, and I'm like, I mean that is kind of a thing, but it's a strong display in Glasgow.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of,
I don't know what that hairstyle is. All I can do is call it the butthead hairstyle.
There's a lot of mullets around. There's a lot of,
like kind of a mullet, but it's also like it's like big up here, but they keep it really short around the ears, and
there's a lot of like pulled forward, almost curly, like towards the front.
All I can think of is it just looks like, if you look up Beavis and Butthead, Butthead's hairstyle, he's now a fashion icon.
Well, these things all come around, don't they? All it takes is the right person to wear something ridiculous, and it's then fashion.
Okay. I don't know. It was interesting. I was like, wow, okay. I mean, Norway doesn't have any better style, but
oh no,
sweater vests here. So.
Oh jeez, the goddamn sweater vests, and not just like the sweater vests, but also like the what's it called? The puffer vests.
Yeah, they're big
here too. Okay, Ugh. So you also have the Hymn of the Valkyrie song. Also we've touched on that.
We have, but Hymn of the Valkyrie. So have you had Teresa Narvik as a guest on? She's Icelandic. She wrote.
No.
Somebody will probably correct you if you have. You may have had. She's a guest on that song.
If I can't say no, and then I actually have though, so that has to be cut out. If that's the case, because then I will feel awful.
At the current moment, we are unsure.
I don't believe we have no.
So we have that song, the Hymn of the Valkyrie, and we have a video for it. Amina Otto, who has been a guest on here a few times, she's a guest vocalist in that song. Teresa is a guest vocalist in that song, and Kauri Paulsen is a guest vocalist.
Oh, nice! In that song.
So I had all three of them doing vocals, and at the end, we are chanting. So it's a pretty brutal, catchy song that we called it "Hymn of the Valkyrie" in a sort of a way to sort of break that, or try to break that again, that idea of the Valkyries as this beautiful sort of thing. So one of our nastiest, most ominous, brutal songs is called "The Hymn of the Valkyrie," just like the album cover. And it's describing kind of, you know, the hymn. The hymn is at the end, where we are singing stanzas from that Old Norse poem Darlioth, where they're chanting about how they're weaving the entrails of dead men, and the sky is raining blood. And
So
that's what we're
hardcore.
chanting. Yeah, and that's what that last chant is, and on that song. So if you listen to it, the end is us singing this Old Norse song.
Oh,
This Old Norse poem.
This is getting me really excited for an upcoming episode we have on Valkyries. So it's getting me excited to kind of ask those questions and really get into that. We've got there's two more on I guess on here that you've given me extra information on that we can touch on if you've got time. We're about an hour and
I have time. It's all about you and how much editing you want to do.
No, we do minimal editing over here, so don't you worry. Yeah, so you have rending the black earth. It's kind of the Ragnarok comes to fruition.
That's a nasty song. Actually, I don't know. I'm always curious. I'm still not sure what people think is our nastiest song, or what people's favorite song is, or not. Yeah, but for me, I think that song is pretty fucking vicious. I think it's the only song where there's no clean vocals. I think at all. Yeah, no. It's one of the two songs there's no clean vocals at all. Which on this album is the first time I've done a lot of clean vocals. The chanting and the singing is something that I to this degree I have never done before on an album. So that was a whole new territory. But with this song, we sort of went back to like our rawest, most upfront black death metal. And it's about it's from the idea that Fenrir, we set him free. It's us who set him free. And so, like in the Wolf Age, when brother kills brother and bonds are broken apart, what causes Ragnarok? I think I said this during the talk about Tyr. What causes Ragnarok is broken bonds. Bonds break, enough relationships break that there's a cascade effect, and that causes a collapse, whether it's global or local. That is what Ragnarok is the collapse, the absolute annihilation that comes from severed relationships. And the idea was, well, when we break enough bonds, we set him free. We're the ones cannibalizing our kinship, and we bring forth this monstrous wolf who will devour the seas and the land and the sun and the moon, and at the end, when there's nothing left to devour, he'll devour himself. So
that's very telling of the times. Again, I don't want to get too much into kind of social media again, but that it is that you have friendship groups who've known each other their entire lives, but they'll fall out over one insert political opinion or divisive topic, and then that's it. They'll argue, they'll unfriend each other, they'll lose that.
And once they do that, there's no more exchange anymore. And if there's no more exchange, there's no more influence on each other, which means now you've you've just drifted further apart. But
then
I mean,
again, to be that kind of try to be a little bit of a cheerful person, I would also say that I would hazard a guess that there are not just as many, there are also a lot of friendship groups that wouldn't have existed without the online space, that would never have met each other.
yeah, and of course, and I mean, I'm quite. I mean, as much as I fucking hate social media, I don't want to turn this into a whole rant about social media. But and also, this song has nothing to do with social media. It just, but
I was more just meaning about that. I kind of the way that
yeah,
people are at each other's necks constantly
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Wait-
I got that. I just couldn't help myself.
I know.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no. I mean, yeah, no. Social media allows me to maintain friendships. I mean, the reason we're able to do this is because of social media. So, I mean, there is, of course,
True.
there's pluses, but there's that, and I don't even know if it's social media that is the problem so much as humans are our empathy only goes so far, and large scale narratives, humans are so easily influenced,
Mm.
and we are so prone to rip things apart instead of I mean, look at human history. It's you know, not to throw too much of a dark light on our species. Well,
I was gonna say a dark light on what such a light album.
yeah, I mean,
Such a light topic.
I don't have a very positive view of the human species. I am a human, but I don't have a very bright view of us. That's something that I deal with. I think a lot of us feel like I do. My band feels like I do. And so making music like this allows you to navigate that. It gives you a framework to be able to explore your disappointment in humanity, your dislike of humanity. Why is it that I don't like people? Well, there are people that I like. I'm a generally relatively happy person, kind of. I'm like sort of, I'm a neutral human. I'm neutral, something, but I'm not an overtly pessimistic person. Well, it depends on the subject. You might want to cut this whole part out.
But I get exactly what you're saying.
But this is something that we deal with, and things aren't. Nexion reflects a part of me, and it reflects a part of my bandmates, and it reflects our misanthropy and our nihilism that I think a lot of people share for various reasons. There are people who are misanthropic because they're edgy and they just want to be like, I'm anti-human, and then they go do terrible things and hurt people. That's not us. There's people like us who are sort of misanthropic in the sense that we are disgusted and disappointed in what people do. That doesn't mean we want to hurt people. It's sort of one of the reasons why we are misanthropic is because of the horrible things that people do. It sort of, that's why I like cats, although they do.
I was like,
mouse earlier today.
Yeah, cats are the biggest dickheads. They will
He
just.
said earlier, he brought a mouse in. Brought in. Oh, sorry to the vegans who listen, but he brought a mouse in, and I tried to stop him. I was like, no, don't bring it in, and he got in anyways. Brought it in, ran into the kitchen, dropped it on the floor, let it run under a cupboard. This is what he does. He doesn't even kill them. He befriends them and brings them in. I have had multiple times come home.
The ultimate villain. It's like, hey, kids, you want some candy? And then I'll eat you.
Yep. He brings them in and just sets them free. And then I have to get them out. So, yeah. No,
what an asshole.
Yeah. So, but how did I go on that rant? Oh, just to sort of point out that, like, when I talk about misanthropy, it's a very big subject. It's a very big. There's a lot of ways a person can be misanthropic, but at the end of the day, it's about a negative view on the human species, and that's important because you need that in order to be critical of the human species and to be critical of what are we doing wrong and where do we fuck up, and you also need that outlet to talk about how fucking horrible we are and how horrible we have been.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what we do. But we also create very catchy songs, pretty brutal, aggressive
So
songs.
that's how it
We
gets.
also make music because we make music because we like music.
That's how it gets spread. But let's kind of, I guess, wrap up on the visions of the seventh fire, because this is interesting to me. What made you? Because obviously the majority of the album is very Nordic inspired, but then you then pull from Native American kind of lore
Yeah.
and this story. What made you kind of take that route?
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but there's indigenous threads throughout it.
Mhm.
I they're both for personal reasons and for or larger creative reasons, like with when Raven steals the sun. There's also Celtic elements in that. So I'm not. This album wasn't meant to be necessarily like Nordic per se, but I was drawing primarily from the Nordic thing because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And how can you create art that you're true to if you're avoiding what you're most passionate about?
Mhm.
Like, why would I use Satanism just to fit the black metal mold? Fuck that. You have to break that. You have to be true to yourself. Otherwise, what is black metal if it's not true to the artist? Then it's just fucking derivative.
Yeah.
So I had to use the Nordic thing primarily because that's my passion. But I also wove in a lot of other personal stuff, and this was I don't remember the original. Yeah, I'm gonna do this moment, but because of my own personal background, I maintain a lot of personal connections to a lot of different Native American threads, and there's a bug that is in my face and it's driving me insane. But and this particular prophecy has always been very powerful for me. Uh, it's very emotional for me. It's a fucking powerful, important prophecy that non-indigenous people need to hear, need to know about. It's not a prophecy for indigenous people. It's a prophecy that is half for indigenous people, but also half for what the original prophecy says is white people, but it's expand beyond that. It's not white people, it's first world people. It's everybody in the world who are not a part of an indigenous group of people. It's really for everybody in the world that needs to pay attention to this. And it's a prophecy. You can look it up, seven fire prophecy. And I don't need to go through all the steps, but in the seventh fire, each fire is an age. And so there was 6 fires before the 7th fire, and the first 6 fires, various historical things have happened. But the 7th fire, I don't want to go into all the details. People can look it up. But what will eventually happen is, according to the prophet of the 7th fire, indigenous people will re-find their old spirituality. They will re-find their old ways of thinking. And at the same time, non-indigenous people will face a choice. They will face 2 paths, and one path will be green and one path will be black, and going down it will hurt their feet and it's scorched. And if they choose the right path, then this will lead to the 8th age, the 8th fire, which is an age where the old hurts between indigenous and colonial people are healed, and there's a new age of sort of camaraderie and brother and sistership, where we sort of become one people instead of so severed.
Mm-hmm.
And we find a way to heal with the world and with one another and create a new age that is, it's very utopian, but it's also hopeful. And if they choose wrong, they go down the black path, and that will lead to fire and death, and the whole world will cry out. And in order for them to know which path to go down to, they need to go back down the way that they came, back down the path that they came from, and speak to, pick up what they left behind, speak to the elder, learn the old ways, basically, essentially turn back to the old knowledge system. That is how I interpret it. Turn back to the old knowledge systems that they left behind. And if they can do that, then they can go down the right way. If they don't, then destruction. And that is such a powerful, needed narrative right now in the world, I think. And so I think it's a very, very powerful thing that non-Indigenous people need to hear, that the whole world needs to hear. I mean, Indigenous people need to hear it too, I think. So I've always been very inspired by that. I think it's very important. And in this song, I sort of painted, it's called Visions of the Seventh Fire, because we haven't gone down either path. We stand at a crossroads where I don't know, who knows what the future holds, but this is a vision in which we go down the black path.
Mm-hmm.
And we reach a point, if you read the lyrics, it says how, we essentially, we this is written from a Nordic perspective. It's using, it's essentially calling on Surtur. It's calling on fire, because at this point the world is going to burn. And so there's sort of the lines, we call on Surtur because we call thy name, we call your name because it's the only name left to call, because all the other names, all the other knowledge givers or wisdom givers or gods are either silent or they're broken or they can no longer hear us, because we have shut down all those doors. And now we're on a path that's so black and barren that only the dead can walk it. So we call out to Surtur, because, well, we call to fire in its destroying form, because at this point things are so fucked that the eagle can't see, the snake is biting himself, the mountains are wailing and gnashing their broken teeth, and the winds are howling through a dying world tree, and all of the world is crying out to just let fire take it all and start over again. It's a very bleak song, but it's a vision of a possible mythic
So
future.
warning.
Yeah, and so in that fire, I think I say something like, it's funny how I can never remember my own lyrics unless I'm singing them. But the world as a funeral pyre, the world as a cremation ground, one last altar of fire, so the ring can fall again. And then the song ends with chanting the lines of Vuluspal, where she can see again. She can see again the earth rising from the sea, green, and to start anew. But we also start chanting the stanza where the dragon also rises. So new beginning and life and death start their cycle all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of a song to kind of conclude a whole album that is focused on an age of possible absolute annihilation that we deserve, and the only way through that is to the other end. So
into the light that comes after.
yeah. So and again, it's music and it's art, and it's a way to I hope that I like, none of the songs have a very hard one meaning. The hope is that I try to take the human experience, or my experience and my observations and how I feel, and how the band feels, and look at the world today, and sort of weave that into a mythical narrative that can hold that up, and people, the listener, can hear it and reflect that, and also put their own meaning into it. It's not so the songs have their own meanings, but they have multiple meanings. And so, yeah, so
Perfect. Well, on that cheerful note,
But there isn't a hope. There isn't
It
implicit
is, yeah.
hopefulness because things will start again. Maybe we won't be there to see it, but it won't be a destruction forever.
no, or it will, but but
Don't
no,
ruin my point, Josh.
No, but I mean, I do think that like annihilation is like it's relative, like we said earlier.
Sure.
And what's annihilation for us? I mean, what have we been through? 6 mass extinctions, I think, so far. I forget, but like I was looking up how long did the dinosaur age last?
A while.
Like 150 million years.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's only been 60, I think. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, the point is there was an age. I mean, and also there was different dinosaur eras, but 150 million years of large reptilian beings on this planet, that if you could come back during any of that 150 million years, this planet would be very, very different.
Yep.
And then it all got wiped out. And now it's only been, I think, 60 million-ish years since the extinction event that killed the dinosaurs. It's only been 60 million. Humans
and we
have
haven't been there for that whole time.
Exactly.
We've been here for, if we're being generous, maybe 200,000.
Right, as our modern, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but modern Homo sapiens, not even 100,000 years.
Right, we are so young, so fucking young that annihilation comes, and it will come whether we want it to or not. We could be the most one with nature creatures on the planet. The planet's still going to get wiped out, and that doesn't mean don't try your best. But the point is, it happens, and then there's a future, and it happens, and then there's a future. Kali Yuga, like there's cycles of destruction.
Yeah. Well, I think anybody who's experienced any type of, not even true catastrophic natural disaster, but even the murmurs of an earthquake or just a terrible storm, you suddenly realize that humans aren't the shit, that actually nature is really fucking destructive. And if it wants to, there is fucking nothing that we can do about it. Nothing.
That was kind of part of that was one of the threads in the album, was so like Seven Oracles, our first album. I know we need to end, but I'll just go on to this. I don't care, you can edit.
Sorry.
So our first album, Seven Oracles, what I wanted to do was break this. The focus of Seven Oracles was really nihilism or existential unimportance of humanity, because I was looking at, or we were having a discussion about how humanity and the important sacred stories throughout humanity's history, sacred texts of different religions, it's always about how important we are. We are so important. We are so important. And humans have such a high fucking opinion of themselves.
We have a very inflated sense of self.
Yes. And so Seven Oracles was 7 oracles giving messages to knock down that idea that we are important. We're not important. We are, and when I say important, I mean we're not better. We're not higher than. We're important in that we have quite a huge influence on the planet, but we are not so like people will have literal crises of identity where they're like, I don't know what my purpose is. What purpose does God have for me? None. I've had conversations with people where I've said, or I've had conversations with ex-girlfriends where they're like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I'll be like, you don't, it's not a good thing to say to your,
Like telling your kid Santa Claus isn't real.
You don't have a purpose. No, we don't. But to me, that's liberating. You don't have a purpose. So you can pick your purpose. You can live your life for your own happiness. You create your purpose, but you don't have I don't believe that we have a divine purpose given to us. I don't think we're that important. But then that leads us to the question of, well, then what do we do? And that's kind of where Sundrung comes in, where it's just because you're not important, like that egotistical self, you it doesn't mean that you can't be, or you shouldn't be, a good member of the world. And there is a point where you're so shitty where like the world can just wipe you out, and we're not so important as we think we are. So
yeah, and the world's not fair and just.
The world's not fair,
and it doesn't have to be, like you said, you can live the most wholesome life, but then you can face the most catastrophic of accidents or situations. Like that's how it is. So just do the best with the time you've got and be nice and kind and enjoy it.
And listen to aggressive music.
Listen to Nexion in particular, specifically, repeatedly.
Yes.
Put it on and just leave it on all day, all night.
And poke your local festival to get us there.
Yeah. So where can people find Nexion if they want to check this stuff out?
Everywhere. You're gonna put links up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can also say so.
So if you want to buy our album, I would suggest you buy it from our website, nexionband.com, because we get a higher percentage than if you buy it from our label.
Yeah. That's how it is though, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, we're on a label, but we get more if you buy it from us instead of the label. So buy from us. And you can listen to us on any streaming platform. I mean, we're on Spotify, iTunes, Music, Apple Music, whatever.
Tidal.
Yeah.
We're on everything. We're on everything. YouTube, we're on everything.
Just to say on the back of that though, if you do want to support Nexion, I would say, and you listen and you stream it on Spotify or Apple, buy the album if you can. Go and buy the physical album, because obviously you don't get the best from the stream. Support through the physical album, even if you never put it in a CD player. It's that. I will tell you, it's that support.
Yeah, it is, and I will actually say that what helps us more than like we don't get anything from stream, not enough. Like Spotify, like you don't get enough from the streaming platforms. But what we have found is a really good way to help us is when you go on Bandcamp and you buy the album digitally on Bandcamp. Even we have it set for like $5 or something on Bandcamp just for the digital. You can still listen to it on Spotify or whatever, but just buy that goes right to us, and it is so much. We get more from that than we do from streams from Spotify and Apple and stuff like that. Because it goes right to us. It's quite it's helpful, because it's funny because being a musician in the music industry, it's like we are the cattle that everybody else is making money off of. The labels make money off of us. The producers that record the music make money off of us. The artists, we have to pay the artists, and they make money off of us.
Yeah.
The festivals make money by booking us to play. Everybody makes money. We're by parading us around. We don't get so much of that money. We have to pay quite a lot to record, to the artwork and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's really great when people and metal has metal has maintained that the metal community in general has maintained sort of the value of the artist and of buying physical and of supporting artists. So Yeah.
Perfect. Where can people find you? Just you.
Instagram, Eagle on the Ash, Jósúa Hróðgeir. I prefer you can send me a Facebook. You can find me on. I'll just give you the links. I think that's easier,
We'll
right?
put them in, yeah.
But if you type in Eagle on the Ash, you will find me on Facebook. You will find me on Instagram. So, otherwise, follow the links that they give.
That's it. Mags, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at ArcheoMags, Archeo with a K.
Perfect. And then for me, Daniel_Farrand1, Horns of Odin for the business, and then Nordic Mythology podcast across the board. Yeah. Thank you very much.